Seneca is a few generations before Marcus. He's this sort of very famous playwright. He's a power broker. Through his associations with the emperor, he becomes one of Rome's richest men. And yet he writes over and over again about how sort of power and wealth can become its own form of slavery. He says, slavery resides beneath marble and gold. And he's talking about you build this enormous house and you spend all your money on it, but now you're a prisoner of this house. You have to pay to keep it up. You have to pay to keep it exactly how you want it to be. You're afraid of it being destroyed or of you losing the thing that you work so hard on. And so the Stoics spend a lot of time sort of examining those things that we're really afraid to lose, sort of financial possessions probably most of all. And it's sort of talking about how do we reduce that dependency, or what does that dependency say, or what is it, how does it make us vulnerable? And I think, when people sort of put a lot of their identity and a lot of their security in things that they don't control, the Stoic would say that is a precarious position, and one that history shows us is probably not good to hold. Well, I think the first thing is just sort of self-control. Sort of, do you need this? Do you want it? Why do you want it? What do you think you will get when you get it? And sort of, the Stoics talk a lot about the discipline of perception is the sort of the most important discipline. So how we see things. Epictetus says it's not things that upset us. It's our judgment about things. And so, we think we lost something, or, we lose something and we think it's bad, so we feel bad. We think that something will make us feel good, so we crave it and we want it and then we get it, and it turns out actually that thing didn't possess anything. And so it's about sort of seeing things accurately. There's this one interesting exercise in Marcus Aurelius where, and this would have been a man who experiences all sorts of, glorious feasts and beautiful homes and wealth from the far-flung provinces. And in this one scene, he sort of goes, okay, look at this table, and he's like, this wine is just like rotten grapes, and he's like, this is a dead pig laying here, and this is a dead bird, and he sort of walks through these things that ordinarily we would crave or our mouth would water over, and he's trying to sort of break them down to see what they really are. And the point is, he's not just trying to be like a pessimist, he's not, being a contrarian or something, but he's trying to remind himself what these things that we sort of desire actually sort of are at their core essence. So they lose some of the power. So, it's like gold is just this, metal that somebody dug out of the ground and melted down and then hammered into some, and when you see it that way, suddenly it seems a little less glamorous. It loses a little bit of its power. And so I think the first thing that Stoicism would help is it sort of helps us see through some of those desires. It kind of puts, the things we value up to the test a little bit. And then we go, oh, maybe that's just a car and it doesn't say anything about the person driving it. Or, oh, that's just a fancy title. That doesn't mean anything. There are plenty of bad people that, have graduated from Harvard, and there's plenty of brilliant, amazing people that never got into Harvard, and that this doesn't really say anything. And so sort of stripping, Marcus talks about stripping things of the legends that encrust them. I think that's probably the most powerful lesson, is just to see things as they are, not as advertising wants us to see them, or our parents, raised us to see them, but as they actually are.